Unfortunately, you can't just ignore debt collectors. They're likely to be persistent, which could make matters a lot worse. They can take court action against you and apply for a county court judgment, which will have a really negative impact on your credit rating, making it tough to get things like credit cards, loans, and mortgages. But there are ways of dealing with them so that they leave you alone. Whenever any debt collector contacts you, the first thing that you want to make sure is that they can prove the debt's yours to pay. The burden of proof is on them and not you, so be ready to ask them to prove that you owe the debt. This should keep them off your back for a little while you have time to work out how to move forward. If the debt's yours, then the simplest solution is to work out how to pay it. Agreeing a method to start paying back will normally keep them from contacting you, assuming that you stick to your agreement. It's worth knowing that debt collectors are regulated by the FCA, so they can't legally make you pay more than you can afford. Debt collectors are persistent because it's their job to be, and you might find they bombard you with letters or emails. It's not very common for them to turn up at your house, but if they do, rest assured, they don't have the same rights as bailiffs. You don't have to answer the door to them, and you can shout through and just politely let them know that you'd rather communicate on email or by phone calls. Luckily, you don't always have to pay all the debt back if you're struggling financially, and there are options out there that could help. Now, while these solutions aren't all suitable for everyone, you might find that one or two could work well for you. I'll run through them quickly here. So first up, we've got debt management plans. They're an informal agreement that you make with the creditors to pay back your debts at a lower and more affordable rate. Normally, that means paying less each month, but over a longer time frame. The catch is, you can't include all of your debts in a debt management plan. So things like credit card debt, personal loans, and an overdraft, they can all go in, but court fines and mortgage arrears sadly can't be part of it. Next is debt relief orders, and they freeze your debt payments for a full year. And then if your situation hasn't changed after 12 months, the debt's written off. You make no payments towards a debt in 12 months, and interest isn't added. Pretty good, right? Sadly, debt relief orders have strict eligibility criteria. So, for example, you can't own anything of significant value like a house, and you can't have more than £2,000 in savings. Another option is offering a final settlement. If you happen to have access to a large lump sum, then you can offer that to debt collectors or the creditors they work for. It might not be for the full amount that you owe, but sometimes they'll be willing to write off the remaining debt because you'll be saving them the time from chasing you down for payments. Unfortunately, getting your final settlement offer agreed might not be that simple, and they could simply refuse. Individual voluntary arrangements are another way to deal with debt. It's a formal agreement between you and your creditors to reduce your payments to one simple payment each month. It lasts for 5 years, and at the end, any remaining debt's written off. Again, like with all these options, there are catches. IVAs are legally binding, so you'll need to keep up with the terms that you agree to. Otherwise, you could be back to square one. Bankruptcy is probably the most famous option. You may already know, but with bankruptcy, all your assets are reviewed and some may be sold off to pay back your debt. After a year, any remaining debt will be written off, and like with an IVA, during your year of bankruptcy, you shouldn't hear from them. Of course, bankruptcies have obvious downsides, mainly that some of your belongings may be sold to pay for your debt, and your credit score will become very low. Luckily, it doesn't have to get that far if you act now. Paying back your debts, whether in full or using a method that I mentioned earlier, will ensure that you keep the debt collectors at bay. One simple step that you could take today is to find out if any of the solutions that I mentioned could work for you. In the description of this video, I've linked to a form on my new website, and it's got a few multiple choice questions like how much debt do you owe and how many people do you owe. At the end of the form, it'll connect you to a company that I've partnered with to provide you with all the information that you need about debt solutions that are available. Click the link below, check it out, let me know how you get on.